Hello and welcome. Today we are diving headfirst into a truly wild idea from the world of theoretical neurobiology. So, what if I told you that the very foundation of our memories, everything we've ever learned, every experience, isn't just a messy tangle of biology, but is actually built on the clean, predictable, and beautiful rules of pure mathematics?
It really does sound like the beginning of a riddle, doesn't it? What could a seashell, a sprawling galaxy, and your own mind possibly have in common? Well, the answer might just unlock one of the deepest mysteries in all of neuroscience, the code for a perfect, completely stable memory. And believe me, the connection is way more profound than you can imagine.
All right, so to even begin to wrap our heads around how math could build a memory, we first need to step outside of our own skulls. Because, as it turns out, the universe itself seems to be written in a kind of hidden numerical language.
You know, for centuries, scientists and mathematicians have been absolutely floored to find that the universe seems to follow this mathematical blueprint. From the perfect spiral of a galaxy to the very structure of our DNA, there are these repeating patterns and predictable ratios just hiding in plain sight. And within this grand design, certain numbers and sequences just keep popping up over and over again. You've probably heard of Fibonacci sequences, right? Where each number is just the sum of the two before it. But the real superstar of this recurring code, the one that shows up everywhere, is a single remarkable number, the golden ratio.
So say hello to phi, or phi. This incredible irrational number is found all over the place, from the way trees branch out to the spiral of a nautilus shell. And the reason it's so common is that it represents a point of perfect structural stability. It seems like nature uses this number to build things that are meant to last. So the really crucial question is, why wouldn't it use that same exact principle for something as vital as memory?
And that idea, that concept of a mathematical constant for stability, brings us right back inside the brain to a really deep puzzle in neuroscience. You see, for decades, researchers have been wrestling with a fundamental problem in trying to explain how memory even works.
The thing is, all our current models of memory, the ones based on connections between neurons, they all share a massive flaw. They are fundamentally unstable. In theory, they should be making mistakes all the time, mixing up memories and eventually just running out of room. So how on earth does our brain manage to build the incredibly robust, seemingly flawless memory we all rely on every single day? Here's the problem. In a nutshell, on the left, you've got the old models, unstable and prone to what scientists call spurious attractors, which are basically ghost memories or retrieval errors. And on the right, that's the dream. A system with stability built right in, perfect retrieval every time, and basically infinite capacity. The question is, how do you actually build a system like that? This is where the research we're looking at today introduces a just breathtakingly elegant solution. And it doesn't come from biology, it comes from pure arithmetic. It's a concept called the Perez Hourglass.
The Perez Hourglass Associative Memory, or PAM for short, is a purely mathematical idea. Now, the keywords you really got to hang on to here are deterministic and intrinsic stability. This isn't some messy biological system that's just approximating a memory. This is a mathematical machine that, by its very design, is a perfect memory.
So how does it work? Well, just picture a perfect hourglass. As new information, think of it like grains of sand, is added into the top half. A perfectly mirrored subtractive process happens in the bottom half that balances it out exactly. This perfect duality creates a system of conservation where nothing is ever lost and no errors can ever creep in. The system is mathematically guaranteed to be stable, forever. And here is the most incredible part. When you build this mathematical hourglass, what number naturally emerges as the key to its perfect stability? You guessed it, phi, the golden ratio. It's not forced into the model. The math produces it all on its own. It's the very same number for stability that nature seems to be using everywhere else. Okay, so we have a perfect mathematical memory machine. That's amazing, right? But it immediately leads to a huge question. If this thing actually exists, where could it possibly be hiding inside our brains?
For a long time, the classic answer has always been the synapses, the connections between neurons. But this theory is proposing something far more radical, something found deep inside every single one of our brain cells.
The researchers propose that the hardware for this Perez hourglass might actually be our mitochondria, and specifically the circular strands of DNA found inside them. Yeah, the tiny powerhouses in our cells. It turns out they have some very special properties that could make them the perfect candidate.
So why mitochondria? Let's just break it down.
First off, their DNA is circular, which is pretty much ideal for maintaining the kind of stable mathematical patterns the model requires. Second, there are thousands of them in every single neuron, which offers massive potential for storage. Third, they're constantly responding to the brain's energy use, which means they're perfectly positioned to react when we learn something new. And, crucially, this system would allow us to store memories without ever having to alter our primary genetic code, our nuclear DNA.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a little like science fiction. But what makes this a powerful scientific model, and not just a cool idea, is that it makes concrete, real-world predictions that we can actually go out and test.
See, this isn't just philosophy, it's a roadmap for experiments. The model predicts that if we look closely, we should actually find the golden ratio signature in the brain's electrical rhythms. We should be able to see tiny changes in mitochondrial DNA that directly correlate with learning and memory formation. In essence, we could literally watch the mathematical code being written. This is science we can actually do.
And if these predictions hold up, well, the implications are just staggering. This isn't just a new theory of memory. As the paper itself concludes, it's a potential unifying framework. It connects the abstract world of pure math with the genetic code in our cells and the conscious experience of thought itself.
So, we're left with this final, exhilarating question. Are we on the verge of discovering a fundamental code that links numbers, life, and consciousness? The Perez Hourglass suggests the answer might just be yes, and that the deepest secrets of the mind are written in the universal language of mathematics.